Hey guys, welcome to another Racer X Roundtable. I am your host, Mitch Kendra, and I'm joined by Cody Darr, our boots on the ground PA photographer, and privateer, former privateer and longtime moto industry guy, Travis Delnicki. We are going to talk Supercross Futures slash SMX Next Supercross. We had the Daytona round a couple weeks ago, and we are ramping up for the Birmingham round this weekend. All right, we got to mention two quick things. We actually did record a video before the Daytona round. Unfortunately, we ran into some audio issues. We had to pull that video down. There was no audio for the first 5 or 6 minutes, so unfortunately, we don't have that posted. But second thing to note, I will give Travis props. He did say Alex Fedortsov is going to be flying. Sorry, Travis.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened with Alex.
Yeah. I mean, I watched him all day. Like, first lap of free practice, he was ripping. Like, he was just on honestly a different level. Like, seconds. There was one session where he was like 2 or 3 seconds faster than the second. So, I mean, and yeah, in the main, I think he may have had to pass a couple people early. And yeah, he checked out and unfortunately got a flat. So, yeah, he got credited for last, but I mean, I think everybody knows he should have won that race, and yeah, so uh, it'll be interesting. He was fast at was it Glendale was the first one, and yeah, he was fast there, but not like that. So we'll have to see if that was a Daytona thing or if he just found something in between the first two.
Pretty sure he got fifth. Him and Liam Moloff, they kind of got fourth and fifth, like super late in the race. Like they weren't really on the broadcast, and all of a sudden the finish line, like they were right there. So yeah, that was definitely. I mean, we like we mentioned before, he's had some speed. At Red Bud, he was fastest qualifier last year at the combine event. So yeah, it wasn't surprising to see Alex out front. It was unfortunate to see his wheel issue there. But yeah, you mentioned the speed. I think his fastest lap was like 2 seconds faster than everybody else. And obviously he was flying until that happened. So it was a little bit of a bummer. Um, but then Landon Gordon was able to step in and take his second race win of the season so far. I'm sure he would have liked to make a legit pass. But hey, 2 wins to start the season. He'll take it. Cody, what did you see? You were obviously on the ground there in Florida. This is your first one you're at home for recording this. So it's good to have you back here in PA. But yeah, what did you think of the race and everything that unfolded there in the SMX Next race in Daytona?
It was a great race. Kind of unfolded how I thought it was going to unfold, especially watching practice a little bit and seeing who the guys were running up front. Seems like the Landon show is going to kind of keep rolling here with Landon Gibson, Landon Hartz, and Landen Gordon. But Landen Gordon is really kind of taking a stranglehold this series and. I mean, he was fast in qualifiers and fast all day and then fast in the main event. And like you said, I mean, that's probably not the way he wanted to make that pass, but he was in position to do that. So he was there and made it happen and then finished out and took it home and did a burnout on the tri-oval and had a good time.
Yeah, and I know again our Daytona video didn't get posted, but we talked about last year there was just so much carnage. This was that first SMX round at Daytona last year, and it was just, free practice qualifying. There was just a lot of crashes, a lot of just the guys were just learning what Daytona is. I guess we'll go Travis for you on this one. You were there. What did you see in qualifying? Like, was it as much chaos as last year, or did the guys kind of, I know, was it a little bit more, I guess they kind of had been there and they kind of knew what to experience? What was the vibes like this time around?
Yeah, I thought it was way more like smooth. Everything went way smoother than last year. I mean, last year it was kind of rainy and stuff, so the track was extra gnarly. I mean, this track was plenty gnarly also. The long rhythm section um before like the finish line straightaway was brutal for those guys, but I think honestly it was just about like putting laps together, and if you could put the laps together like what Landon did. It's not flashy, but he was just good laps the whole race. So I think that was the key. But yeah, not too much carnage, honestly. yeah, I can't even think of like, oh, okay, we did have one incident. Who was it? It was Olaf landed on Dudney in practice, and now Dudney's hurt, unfortunately. So, yeah, I actually saw that whole thing happen. They just got out of sync in the rhythm section, and yeah, as Olaf was landing, Dudney was like taking off, and yeah, so they kind of clipped him a little bit, and yeah, unfortunately, Dudney got hurt. But that was the biggest event that I saw, honestly.
And that was in the morning qualifying, I think, right? One of those sessions, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was like the first or second session. I think they get like four sessions out there, but yeah, it was early on in the day.
Yeah, the replay of that looked brutal. I
Yeah.
seen a replay on Dudney's social media, and oh man, yeah, that looked bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one of those incidents where a rider just happens to get landed on. Is nobody's really at fault. I don't know for sure, but just looked like they just kind of got in each other's lines there on accident. All right, let's go to you, Cody. You were there for RCSX, and you got a little bit of feedback from some of the riders. So what, this go round, another one for these guys. What did you hear from the riders? What was the feedback from Daytona? And again, these races are for qualifying for the Pittsburgh finale, but they don't, Landen Gordon having two wins, it doesn't mean anything for the championship finale. He's already set in stone to be in the main event. But again, some of these guys are racing a couple events now, getting experience leading into that final race. What's the feedback been like so far, Cody?
Uh, Landon, Gordon loved it. Absolutely. He went in there, dominated Open A and 250A Road to Supercar, Road to Futures, or Road to SMX Next. And yeah, he came out just, you know, great starts the whole time. Led, I think, pretty much wire to wire on every race, if not maybe, was in the top three on his starts. And yeah, he was super solid. He actually was on the podium saying that he might be his new favorite track. So we might got an East Coast boy now. You never know. Maybe he'll be over here training soon. So, but yeah, he kind of had a dominant weekend there. Won the SMX Next race Saturday night, and then went and won all the titles Sunday and Monday. So he had a great weekend. I talked to Landon Hartz. He said the SMX Next was sick, and the track, the speedway, the fans were all insane. Just pulling into that kind of stadium like that, just overall, it lived up to the hype. And he said he rode amazing after struggling in qualifying, but he was super happy with his speed and, just had some great battles, but a last lap crash held him off the box there. As you've seen there, he kind of took a little digger in the sand. So, but he was super happy with this whole program and he's thankful for all the opportunities he's getting. And he said he's super excited for Birmingham. So I'm super excited to see how he does and see, how these Landon can. I want to see Landon Gibson kind of get back up in there. He had a few mistakes there in his main event. So. But yeah, it was a good overall weekend for us.
Yeah, one thing to note, I think Landon Gibson, like even last year at Daytona, he had just turned old enough to even race that, and he came out with some speed, but then he had some crashes. I think it was Foxborough, he broke his collarbone. He's almost like he's got the speed if he could just tone it down a little bit and get that consistency, kind
Yep.
of Landon Gordon has found. Landon Gordon was fast the last couple years, but then, see him at the test track last January. He's just putting in laps with his brother lap after lap after lap, and now he has the speed, but he's got the consistency down too. And like we kind of talked about last week or in the last video, that consistency and putting down laps, like you mentioned, Travis, like that's huge to stay healthy, one, to get the race wins and everything. So just let's touch a little bit more on the podium finishers. Obviously, Landon Gordon, we mentioned his second win. It's a good confidence boost for him, but again, it really doesn't mean anything. There's no championship standing, so he's not leading anything. He just has an extra race win to boost confidence. And then Enzo Timmerman, again on the podium, we kind of talked about him and a little bit of his injuries that he's come back through. So that was another strong ride for him. And then Justin Turner, he was a late entry. I think we had talked about like the entry list. I can't remember if we mentioned him on Daytona. Like he was so last minute, we didn't even know he was going to be racing like a couple days before the race. Boom, he ends up on the podium there. Yeah, what did you guys see from Justin there, Travis?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was yeah, like you said, he was an alternate to get in, I'm pretty sure. And honestly, was super impressed. I mean, I watched him at Loretta's because he's on the club, so you're like, oh, okay, let me watch this kid. And honestly, like it wasn't great. Like it really wasn't anything special. Um, so yeah, to come out and do that was incredibly impressive. Like yeah, I would have never seen that coming. But yeah, so that was impressive. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like I saw that came out of absolutely nowhere. So good for him. It's really cool to see somebody come out and break through like that. So yeah.
He's not really a super flashy rider. Like just watching him there at Daytona, like he was so under the radar all day. He was fast, but just, kind of hovering around. And then obviously with all the chaos that kind of went on in the main event, he just somehow like I didn't even recognize, I didn't even see it. He's like somehow in third. And it's like, how did he get there? He just like slipped through all the chaos and made a few passes and bam, he put himself in position to be on the podium. And yeah, he was looked super happy after the night was over. And I didn't get to talk to him personally, but I'm sure he was really pumped on his night. So, especially if he was an alternate going into the program.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike Bonacci was bummed for Alex in one hand and then pumped for Justin on the same hand because Mike Bonacci from Club there, he takes good care of those futures guys. So and then looking a little bit down the order there, Alvin Hillen finished fourth, and then Tiger Wood finished fifth. And I know we kind of talked in the Daytona video that again we had audio issues, but we were all kind of interested, like how is he going to do in his first real, big amateur Supercross event? Um, Obviously, I see that he got fifth. I don't get to, you guys were there. Travis, did you see anything like I guess your first big look at Tiger Wood? What did you see there?
Yeah, he was solid. He was better than I expected. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. Like I talked about on the Daytona show we did, like he had a lot of hype at one point and went up to Canada and kind of was pretty mediocre. And so like I was not sure what to expect, but I think he was actually I guess he was right around fifth place guy all day, but I think he even has more in the tank. Like he looked good. Like the eye test, he looked really in control. Like he looked like he knew what he was doing. So I was pretty impressed. I think there's more than a fifth place potential there.
Do you feel like I mean, obviously, Alex, you hyped up Alex a lot, and he did pretty good until the flat tire. Would you say Tiger Wood was your, I guess, most surprising rider? Is that fair to say, or would you have somebody else?
I wouldn't say like super surprised that he was there. Like I said, he was a hyped up kid. On a super mini. Um, but I just really didn't know what to expect. I would say, as far as a surprise, I mean, Justin Turner is definitely a surprise, but um, and I feel like we already talked about Temmerman too, but I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Like he's riding really good. He came through the pack to get second, so I don't think I guess it's kind of a surprise because he just seems so under the radar to me, but yeah, Tiger Wood, he was good. I think there's more in the tank there, but I wasn't shocked by it.
Betty, who was your, I guess, standout rider or somebody that shocked you?
Well, since we didn't, I think we talked about him in our last video, but Timmerman, I mean, he started, I believe it was 15th or so. At
Mhm.
least I think by I didn't even really see where he was on the first lap. I was kind of watching the front half of the pack, and he was not even in it.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, it was like midway, he was already in the fifth or sixth or something, and then next thing you know, he's up in the second, and I mean, I was completely blown away uh, with just how composed and how he handled a bad start like that and just kind of picked his way through the pack and didn't really rush it, even though it was only an 8-minute race. He kind of abided his time, let the race come to him with the longer track and stuff. And that was a big surprise for me. Tiger Wood was a good one. I mean, he was riding good all day. He just, I mean, it didn't, I think he was just feeling it out or just going through the motion and trying to get through the race day and that's at least kind of my perspective on it. If he didn't really feel like it didn't look like he was pushing issue. It looked like he was in control, like Travis said, and was just kind of getting through the program. Um, Luke Bowser he had a great start again and put himself in position to have an all podium. Talked about him before the Daytona pod and he was riding really great. He was battling with Landon Hartz and then just had a little tip over and then even fought back up, almost got back inside the top five after that. So that was awesome to see. I know he's got podium potential written all over it. If he can put the pieces to the puzzle together, I think he's definitely a guy to watch out for.
Yeah,
I
Hart's
don't
was
know.
good. He was in that podium battle too, and he went down in the sand, unfortunately. But yeah, he's riding really well right now.
Yeah, and I know Cody, you had him as one of those guys coming into this Super Motocross SMX next season as, hey, he might not be a huge name, but like watch out, he's gonna be fast. You saw him at the test track and you saw him with the eye test and stuff. So yeah, I'd say he's doing pretty well so far. It was obviously that crash, but yeah, I think he's kind of turning heads. Some people might not realize who that is. One thing to note, I'm looking at the results here. I think Timmerman is officially 10th after the first lap. So like even, if he was, you said roughly 16th, like even 10th place in a 7 lap race for him to go from 10th to second, like that's pretty impressive. And all the things you're battling there, like we've talked about before, the lighting is different. You have sand, you have the ruts, everything is just a little bit different at Daytona. So that was a good charge. I'm also looking at this the fastest sector times. And actually, we have sector one was Hillen, sector two was Turner, sector three was Hillen, sector four was Timmerman, sector five was Deacon Deno, sector six was Ryder Malinowski, and then Landon Hart's was sector seven. So we've kind of got like there's nobody that's really Hillen had two top section sectors, but there's a lot of different guys in there that are showing a lot of speed. So I think that's definitely something to keep, looking forward to. Obviously, Gordon has the 2 wins. Timmerman's been second so far twice, but there's so many different guys that, if they get a good start, they can run up front or they can charge to the pack at the same time, which I think makes it exciting. Excuse me.
It's
Any
crazy
last,
that
okay.
that's crazy that Alex didn't have any of the fastest segments, but his lap time was 2 seconds faster than everybody else. That's
I know
that's
that
insane.
that's wild too. I think he was second in a couple of the segments. So, um, or I guess sorry, 3 of the segments he was second fastest. So right up there. But yeah. All right. So any last closing thoughts out here on Daytona before we shift to Birmingham a little bit?
I thought it was a great event. I'm glad all the fans waited and stayed off the track. I know that's not really part of the SMX Next thing, but that worked out great. That looked like it was a great addition. Hopefully that stays. But yeah, as far as the main event, it looks like Landon's really got the confidence now. Landon Gordon, I should say, has really got the confidence now, and he's really, you know seems like he really wants the title. So he's gonna maybe try and sweep all these SMX Next events, and he might get all the number one plates and take home.
One thing too, like we mentioned, there's no real championship. Like I know a couple years ago was Bennick and Bo Mayer had every race win, I think, and then we got to the final race. What happened? They both crashed, they both go down, and Casey Cochran ends up winning the title as technically a B rider. So I wouldn't count out Timmerman and some of these other guys, even, if Gordon runs into a bike issue or he crashes in the championship final in Pittsburgh, like you never know what could happen. But yeah, right now it looks like Gordon is the top guy. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And obviously, let's switch to the Birmingham entry list here. Again, for the most part, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of returning riders. Again, there's some riders that have qualified for the final race already. We're getting some new riders in here. Looks like Russell Bucheri is going to be making his SMX Next event. Travis, he's a New England guy. What's the intel on your guy Russ here?
Yeah, that's my guy. He's been down at WW training with the Club 57 guys for all, all winter, like since October, maybe even like. And I think he actually was planning to race East Coast, and yeah, that didn't work out because he didn't actually have his points, is the whole thing. But yeah, he's here. He's racing futures. And I mean, yeah, he's been riding. From what I hear, pretty good. He's been riding. Well, I'm good friends with Logan Carr now, and he's down there at WW2, and so I've been getting updates on Russ, and yeah, he says he's riding really well. He's pretty close to their speed, so um, but yeah, I don't really know what to expect. He's only kind of been riding at WW, so it's gonna always be a little bit of an eye opener when you show up for the first time, and so yeah, we'll see how it goes. But he's definitely, I think he's a good rider. I really like the way he rides. He's not erratic at all. He's like a really smooth, calculated, great technique type of rider. So I think, and I think he's a pretty good starter. So hopefully he can get out front or put himself in a good spot and just click off consistent laps. But honestly, I don't totally know what to expect.
Yeah, I will say he did put in some solid results at the RCSX. I believe sixth in the 250A Road to Supercross Futures, and then third in the 250, or sorry, third in the Open A. So again, he was down there, but not for the SMX Next round, but for RCSX. So yeah, he's a good guy. I met him last year. Him and his dad, they're super good guys. So excited to see what they do. Again, we've got some returning guys. Jonathan Getz, Deacon Deno. Some of these kids we've saw a little bit in Daytona, and we're going to see a little bit more of. I think Kate Johnson is might be making his return. I believe he had a collarbone injury at the Glendale, or a shoulder slash collarbone injury at the Glendale round. He's on the entry list, so we're going to see if he's able to go. For the most part, I think we have mostly returning riders here.
We got Vincent Way. I think he's making his debut.
Oh yeah, and you guys heard he was injured right before Daytona.
Yeah. He's at least on the entry list, so let's hope he'll show up, and I'd really like to see how he stacks up against some of these guys. I seen a video of him riding with his dad, Nick,
Mhm.
on social media, and I mean, he's already going for the front wheel on his dad, so I just can only imagine him out there. I'm not saying he's gonna go taking anyone out, but I mean, he looks ready to go. So I'm excited to see what he's got.
No, that's a great point. And like we mentioned in the Daytona preview, he's starting to make a name for himself. He was a huge mini cycle racer, started to turn heads a lot, and now it's 250 F time. Let's go. Like he's starting to become Vincent Way, not just Nick Way's son, which is pretty cool. Another thing to note, this will be the second to last qualifying race. So we'll have the Birmingham round and then the Foxborough round. And then after the Foxborough round is the Pittsburgh Championship finale. And again, so that's, you could win all these races and then go to final race and get 20th, and you get 20th in the championship. That's how this format is at the moment. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. I kind of wish, I don't know, I wish we could have like a championship and have some points, but I get at the same time, like not every guy can make every single round. So if this is what we're gonna have, I think it's a good way, this is way better than it was before with, a bunch of sea level riders and everybody just on a really tamed down track. This is, like we kind of mentioned, simulated pro day, getting ready for the next experience, um, or getting experience for the next step. So I think
The
this
one
is,
thing I'd like to possibly see different, not, I mean, or maybe change, is maybe give these guys modified or maybe a modified Triple Crown at the final round and give them three main events. So obviously, if they go to the championship race and they earn their way there, they have maybe two or three motos to prove themselves instead of just relying on one 8-minute main event. If they get like all 6-minute Triple Crown races, like 6-minute main event, and maybe base the overall over that, that would be pretty cool, kind of to just give the boys, if they have a bad moto, just to give them a chance to maybe prove themselves in an all or main.
It's actually a good point, and I like that idea. But yeah, so anyway, looking ahead, this is going to be the second to last qualifying round. Any closing thoughts as we look at the entry list heading into Birmingham? I know this is going to be only the second time Supercross has been there, so it's still pretty new venue, but Triple Crown as well for the pros. So a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about this too, and like I kind of wish that they were doing doing like a points thing in a way. I mean, but also I guess if everybody was showing up every weekend, like that would take away from, like a guy like Russ getting in and, even Turner who showed up as an alternate but then ended up on the podium. So it's like, yeah, I guess it kind of opens up some spots for alternating guys, but for the most part, it's a lot of the same guys. So, I mean, if a lot of the same guys are going to show up, they might as well be racing for points. But I don't know. I see both sides of it.
Well, I mean, that's where I'd love to see the point system. The point system be awesome, but like I had went through it with my friend Derek Leatherman, and we did the MetLife futures round back before it changed to SMX Next. And he ran in the top 10, unfortunately fell back a few positions outside the top 10, and they were taking the top 10 automatically qualifies for Salt Lake City. But then there again, we had riders that were at repeating rounds, finishing inside the top 10. So he did eventually get the call to go to Salt Lake City, but we were kind of on a time crunch and didn't know. But he had earned, like, if he had possibly could have made it and earned his way out there, it would have been cool for his experience and just obviously, getting to kind of ride West Coast tracks and seeing how that side of things are, and just getting the different uh perspective of the side. He wouldn't have gotten that if he wouldn't have if he would have had to race all the races because we wouldn't have been able to make all the rounds.
That's a good point. What I can't remember. Did you guys want to say anything else before?
Not really. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys with the same expectations, kind of. So, and honestly, the racing has been a little bit like there hasn't been many battles, honestly, which is kind of weird. Like there were some good battles with uh
Babies.
Towers and Drew or whoever
Yeah,
it was, I can't remember, but last year, but not yet so far this year.
yeah. I'm kind of waiting for like a. I don't know. I'm still waiting for the lane and three-way battle, but I feel like yeah, we haven't seen like a really like back and forth for the race win yet.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Landon three-way battle to eventually happen. But I really like to see some of the PA boys. I know I haven't really got to talk much about them, but RJ Johnson, Reese Wheaton, Luke Fowler, a lot of these guys grew up or my they grew up around my area. And I've been watching these kids for a while. Clark Robbins, he's a great kid. I can't wait to see how he does. I know he's in a contract year, so I want to see him back up front and inside the top five or on the box. He's definitely capable of doing that. We'll see if the Kawasaki dominance keeps rolling.
Were you gonna say some Travis or?
uh no, I just am actually like Cody talked about it, but Landon Gibson, like, yeah, I feel like he's so much better than what his results have been so far this year. So like kind of waiting for him to put it together. But other than that,
Speaking,
no.
I actually just got a message from Landon Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said his experience was not the way he wanted it to go, but there was still a bunch of positives to take away from the race. He made a mistake on his part. It took him out of the podium spot, and I'm sure he really wanted to be on the box, and that's what a lot of these riders, I'm sure, are shooting for. But um, you know, I'd look for Landon Gibson to be up there real soon.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, like Justin Turner, dude, just to be thrown in last minute, like he did. I don't know if he was planning on going to the race or not, but like to get in, to get a podium, like that's got to be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I think a lot of these guys again are like pretty fast, and they probably could have podium speed or maybe in race winning speed, but it depends on who gets the starts. And so far, it's Landen Gordon's pretty good with the starts. He's kind of positioned himself pretty well up there. I know I don't want to say like older than all the other guys, but maybe I think he's about like 17, right? So I think he's like right in the middle of like the age group for these guys. So again, some of these guys are a little bit younger, some of them are a little bit older, and I think that is one thing that like it is kind of neat about this class, like or this program. Like we mentioned, Casey Cochran winning it. He was technically like a B rider. He was just coming off like a 125 the summer before, like in the moto combines on 125. And again, like you're kind of like, what's this? Like he's not necessarily going to win the race, but he got a lot of experience. So maybe even some of these guys, maybe we don't anticipate them winning. Maybe, you know, if a good start, who knows, maybe they could win or get a podium. But I feel like even just building, getting the speed for next year, even and getting the laps in and getting finishing, staying healthy, getting laps in is going to be big for next year for some of these guys.
And that was interesting too with Cochran. Uh, when he won that title and he was a B rider, I had just assumed I didn't really read the rule book, but I had assumed he had just gotten his AMA pro license. But since he was technically a B rider, they're technically not eligible to score Supercross points to get their pro card yet. So he was just out there getting experience while the A riders are technically battling for their Supercross points. So you do have a kind of a mix out there of younger and maybe a little bit of older kids, kind of like maybe there might be some riders out there trying to get their points and there might be some riders out there just trying to get experience. So, but they're all out there learning. I know the program's a great program, and like I said, we've been through it a few times. It's there's a lot of informative things in it, and I'm excited to see how the finish ends up, or see how the season ends up.
Yes, I'm definitely just excited for the Pittsburgh Supercross in general. But I think having the SMX Next finale there is going to be cool too. And I think we mentioned it in the first video we did, but they ended up putting the Supercross Futures championship finale in Pittsburgh just to kind of get it away from the Salt Lake City finale a little bit, so it kind of doesn't get lost in like that championship celebration there. So that'll be kind of cool. Like first Pittsburgh race since the 80s. There's only been a couple of them before. The weather might be interesting. We'll see. But I think it'll be fun finish here. Like, I mean, again, a lot of these guys are coming back for these couple races, but who knows? Maybe we could get a new winner this weekend, and in Foxborough get a new winner, and then it could be kind of whoever gets a better start in the finale. But right now, it kind of looks like it's Landon Gordon's. He kind of looks like he's the class of the field. I don't know. Maybe Alex Fedortsov is going to have something to say about that topic. What do you think?
Yeah, hopefully. I think so. I mean, well, it'll be interesting to see if he can like be as fast as he was at Daytona, like on a typical Supercross track. But I mean, if it's anything like that, yeah, I think he'll get a win here.
Yeah, I do want to ask real quick because you mentioned like he was fastest in, or sorry, second fastest in three of the segments, but didn't have like one top segment, or he didn't dominate any of the segments. Was there anything like crazy that he was doing, or was it just he was just consistent and just smoother than everybody else? Like, how he was like 2 seconds a lap faster. How was he this? doing that? It was just clean air out front or what?
I think I think he was had the long rhythm section down the best, but I mean obviously he still wasn't the fastest in that segment, but um no, I think he was just able to piece the track together better, obviously, but I mean that's drastic, but but yeah, he was just like able to do lap after lap without making mistakes, whereas everybody else kind of might nail a section, then make a mistake, and that's kind of how I think that's how that happened.
Yeah, I sat down towards the far end, the long rhythm before the finish line, and like Travis saying, it was pretty much Alex was just nailing consistent laps and consistent sections and just linking all of his corners together. No, make them very minimal mistakes when some of these other kids they were, casing a rhythm here and not being able to fully double or triple through a section here or there. Just kind of getting their balance tipped up in a rut and, just losing a tenth or two there. But Alex was on rails. So, I'm on Travis's side with this one. I definitely think we'd see a win out of him.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you guys can tune into Peacock this weekend for the Birmingham Supercross. For again the pro races, we have our final Triple Crown race. Those championships are exciting in the pros, but then yeah, we have our second to last qualifying race for the SMX Next program. So tune into Peacock and check them out.